Agenda item number 1, the call to order and roll call. Today is July 21st, 2025. The Audit Oversight Committee is called to order. Will the city clerk call the roll, please?
Chair Price.
Present.
Vice Chair Seaman.
Present.
Member Kircher.
Present.
Member Bruni.
Present.
Member Booker.
Present.
Thank you, Chair. You have a quorum.
Thank you. Agenda item number 2, an announcement regarding compliance with open meeting law. To the city clerk, has this meeting been noticed and posted in compliance with the open meeting law?
Yes, Chair, it has.
Thank you. Moving on to agenda item number 3 is public comment. Comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters on the agenda for action. If you wish to be heard, come forward and give your name for the record. The amount of discussion, as well as the amount of time any single speaker is allowed, may be limited. Is there anyone wishing to be heard at this time? Seeing none, I'll close the public comment portion and we'll move on to agenda item number 4. Agenda item number 4, for possible action to approve the final minutes by reference of the regular meeting of April 7th, 2025. Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
There is a motion. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Those opposed? Please post. And the motion carries. Thank you. Agenda item number 5. Discussion for possible action regarding the audit of Fire and Rescue Department, Controlled Substances Inventory Management. Joe Throneberry, Senior Forensic Auditor, will be discussing this audit. Please go ahead, Mr. Throneberry.
Good morning, committee members. This is Joe Throneberry, Senior Forensic Auditor, here to discuss the audit of the Las Vegas Fire and Rescue Department's Controlled Substance Inventory Management. Controlled substances are essential for providing emergency patient care, but they carry a risk of abuse and diversion. This audit evaluated whether the Las Vegas Fire Rescue had sufficient internal controls and complied with policies set forth by the Drug Enforcement Administration, Southern Nevada Health District, and the City of Las Vegas. In the accompanying image, you will find 4 recent news articles, including one here locally, in which controlled substances were alleged to have been diverted by EMS personnel. These instances highlight the need for ongoing vigilance and proactive oversight concerning the management of controlled substances. Las Vegas Fire Rescue Emergency Medical Services Division manages EMS operations and oversees compliance with the EMS standard operating SOPs governing the department's controlled substance program. Las Vegas Fire Rescue paramedics administer fentanyl, ketamine, and Versed under regulatory controls. Fire Rescue procures these controlled substances from a single external vendor, Henry Shrine, based on par levels set by the medical director, who is a licensed physician, to ensure citywide availability while minimizing waste due to expiration. Paramedics administer controlled substance when medically necessary following established protocols. Fire Rescue securely stores controlled substances on board its vehicles in locked boxes and safes in central supply locations to maintain operational readiness while minimizing inventory risk. Fire Rescue utilizes ImageTrend as its case management software for documenting fire and EMS incidences, including medical incidences where controlled substances are administered to patients. This slide includes 4 images related to Fire Rescue's controlled substance inventory management program. The top row is a typical security container used by fire rescue medics to house controlled substances that include fentanyl, ketamine, and Versed under seal. The second is an example written page of a physical logbook used to document the receipt, administration, and disposal of these substances. The bottom row is a photo of these substances in a sealed bag containing expired controlled substances ready for return and disposal. Field work by the audit team conducted on February 11, 2025 confirmed Fire Rescue's expired controlled substance processes were secure, compliant, and well documented. The audit team witnessed the disposal that include 211 vials of milazepam, Versed, 79 vials of ketamine, and 47 vials of fentanyl, all properly segregated from active inventory, recorded in the logbooks, and documented on DEA Form 222. And note that the substances were from about a little over a 2-year period that you see in the photo. Additionally, an example of the training logbook used to track the chain of custody and the medication counts is seen below on the last row. Our audit objectives were to, number one, assess the adequacy of controlled substance policies and SOPs. 2, evaluate information security in the image trend case management system. Review the controlled substance procurement process. 4, examine controlled substance administration, waste, storage, and the quality assurance program. And 5, to review the expired controlled substance disposal process. The audit revealed no discrepancies in inventory counts, confirmed medications were stored securely, and verified that expired controlled substances were properly disposed of. Opportunities for improvement were noted in 4 findings along with our recommendations. Finding 1 was improvement needed to policy update and approval process. During this audit, we identified 3 versions of policy FR 510.31, each differing in approval status, content, and operational alignment. The oldest version, effective September of 2018, was still posted on Fire Rescue SharePoint as of December 31st, 2024, despite being superseded in practice by more recent drafts, one dated October 2023, and another that was still pending for final approval from the fire chief. The recent drafts introduced significant enhancements in security tracking and also contained the quality assurance program. Our recommendation is Fire Rescue Management, in accordance with City of Las Vegas Policy CM 601 and union contract, should review and enhance its policy updates and posting process to ensure timely review and approval by the fire chief. Fire Rescue should consider a structured, risk-based framework that prioritizes policy updates based on their impact, which will help ensure the published policies remain current and aligned with evolving operational needs. It should be noted that Fire Rescue addressed this finding and the revised policy is now properly posted. Finding number 2, image trend case management enhancements needed. The Fire Rescue uses image trend to document fire and medical incidences. While effective for capturing patient care and medication administration details, the system, as it was being used during the audit, had limitations impacting controlled substances accountability. Our recommendation under 2.1 was Fire Rescue Management should assess image trends capabilities to enhance security controls and strengthen controlled substance management. This evaluation should focus on the following key improvements: real-time controlled substance tracking and automated reconciliation, implementation of continuous monitoring and automated reconciliation features to enhance the accountability and minimize discrepancies. Waste witness verification, requiring individual user authentication via unique login credential or PIN verification to improve the oversight and accountability in medication disposal. And role-based access management, align permissions with the job responsibilities and establish processes for promptly deactivating inactive accounts to reduce security risk. Recommendation 2.2 is fire rescue management should collaborate with the city's IT department and image trend vendors representatives to evaluate feasibility and implementation requirements and timelines for the following enhancements: strengthening the authentication security, automating user account management, and establishing continuous monitoring protocols. Finding 3, improvements needed in the procurement process. Fire rescue contracts with one vendor for procurement of controlled substance. Our audit reviewed purchases from January 1st, 2023 to December 31st, 2024 with the following opportunities. We identified transactions in Oracle with irregularities such as missing delivery confirmations, duplicate invoices, and invoice administrative issues. A lack of reconciliation to verify receipt and accountability of substances matching the corresponding paperwork, and the frequent use of PO for billing only option in Oracle, which should be used in limited circumstances. Our recommendation, 3.1, fire rescue management should establish a process to reconcile controlled substances purchase orders with controlled substance received at least quarterly. The reconciliation should ensure a match between the entries in the logbook, the EMS coordinator, fire administration safe, and the DEA 222 forms with Oracle and boxed content list. Recommendation 3.2 is fire rescue management should establish procedures to ensure staff adhere to the city's Oracle procurement process, DEA's procurement procedures, and the medical director's guidance. The PO for billing only option should be used infrequently. It should be noted that during the audit, that fire rescue management took immediate steps to address and correct these audit issues once identified in the audit process. Finding 4, automated inventory management system evaluation needed. Fire rescue relies on a manual paper-based logbook system, limiting accuracy and efficiency in real-time oversight. Current tracking methods focus on par quantities and expiration dates rather than individual vial identifiers, which restrict end-to-end or cradle-to-grave accountability. The manual tracking and reconciliation process increases the risk from human error, data inconsistencies, and operational inefficiencies. Implementing an automated real-time tracking and analytics is recommended to improve accountability and reduce risk. Recommendation 4.1, fire rescue management should evaluate the feasibility of purchasing an automated controlled substance management system that would improve security, accuracy, and compliance in the oversight of controlled substance. This evaluation should include a cost-benefit analysis and consideration of the efficiencies and risk reductions that could be achieved through such an automated system. Key system evaluation criteria should include life cycle tracking from ordering and receipt through the administration, waste disposal, or return to a third-party disposal vendor due to expiration. Automated reconciliation of controlled substances from cradle to grave should ensure accuracy of inventory counts and flag discrepancies for further review. Exception-based alerts for anomalies such as missing doses or unusual administration practices. Integrated documented workflow to streamline automated approvals between fire rescue, the medical director, finance, and the vendors. Advanced security measures that integrate with the software include electronic safes, biometrics, and video monitoring. Compliance with DEA record keeping for audit readiness and regulatory adherence, and integration with other City of Las Vegas and fire rescue IT systems. We appreciate the support that we received from fire rescue management and staff in completing this audit. Representatives from fire rescue management are present to answer any questions. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Throneberry. Are there any questions from the members?
Go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning. So I'm just curious, on the second recommendation around case management enhancement needs, one of the recommendations was around witness verification and giving unique PIN numbers to users. I'm just curious as to who will be responsible for monitoring the PINs. Is there a guideline, or is there some type of rubric or metric around what's considered normal? What are you comparing the usage to, so that we're very clear that whoever's going in, they're doing it in the ordinary course of business?
So Fernando Gray, Fire Chief, for the record. Again, I think it's more or less, her question is related to the recommendation, so I'll let the audit team
Okay,
respond.
great. Thank you.
In regards to that recommendation, what's currently in place is the user who's writing the report, the paramedic that administered the medication, is logged in and would be writing that incident report. There's a drop-down field for names, and so if, for an example, the witness has to be another paramedic and a city employee, if Chief Gray was the paramedic on duty, he would have the option to pick, if I was a fellow paramedic, Joseph Throneberry from the drop-down list. When picking that individual, which would be myself in this hypothetical scenario, they would just pick the name for the list and that person signs it. A lot of times the signatures are scribble and can't necessarily be discerned. If during an audit or there was an investigation several months later, it would be hard for that individual to remember if they in fact witnessed it. There is technology out there similar to for those of us here in the city of Las Vegas that use Oracle, when there's an Oracle alert that's created when your name is picked, it sends you an automated email or notification that your name was mentioned in that report. So the recommendation is for Fire Rescue to partner with their vendor to see if that technology is available in ImageTrend, so that that witness being listed also receives notification that their name was included in the report.
Very helpful. Thank you. Yes.
Okay. And the only thing I would respond with is that, again, we really appreciate this audit. Again, it gave us an opportunity to look at an area that, to be quite honest with you, as displayed in the presentation, could bring a lot of challenges to an organization. So we're really thankful for the auditor's office to, again, look into our process. And I just piggyback and just say that the majority of the recommendations that the audit team has provided are definitely related to introducing new and additional technologies. And again, we're open to exploring that.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
Okay, if the estimated security upgrades won't be completed until January 26, what is being done now to protect the data?
So, Councilwoman, great question. I will say that one of the things that was identified in this audit is that there are no discrepancies as it relates to the actual, I'll just say this, usage of the medications. We are still utilizing our current processes. To be quite honest with you, we even enhanced some of our manual processes. The point about implementing that by 2028 is looking at new technology and, again, making sure that that technology actually meets our needs.
Any more questions? Any more questions? Seeing no more questions, may I have a motion to accept the report?
Move to accept the report.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 On the phone as well, I think.
Councilwoman Bruni?
All right. Well, any opposed? Seeing none, please post. The motion carries, and thank you. I'd like to just briefly say thank you to the chief and to the Las Vegas Fire and Rescue for coming up, and with the participation with the audit department and just expressing that, how I was an auditor for 25 years, so this idea that the auditors are there to find something wrong, the auditors are always there to help, and when the departments can appreciate that help and work together in a partnership to come to a solution, it's always just very much appreciated. It's a relationship that we prevent things from happening before they happen, and so I just appreciate that. Thank you. Moving on to agenda item number 6, discussion for possible action regarding the audit of Community Development Department, Business Licensing Compliance Section. James Burnett, Senior Internal Auditor, will be discussing this audit. Please go ahead, Mr. Burnett.
Thank you. Good morning. James Burnett, Senior Internal Auditor here to discuss. Nope, sorry. Good morning. James Burnett, Senior Internal Auditor here to discuss the audit of business licensing, the business licensing compliance section within the Department of Community Development. Our audit of the business licensing compliance section is important as we identified opportunities for improving performance, information available to city management for discussion, for decision-making, employee performance evaluation, and the communication of accomplishments. Procedures surrounding collection of fees and fines, coordination and communication with other departments to get licenses timely approved, and controls over system access permission of employees. The city's business licensing division, business licensing, of the Department of Community Development has a business licensing compliance section. The compliance section is tasked with regulating, enforcing Title VI of the Las Vegas Municipal Code, business taxes, license and regulations, as well as certain provisions of Title IX, health and safety, Title 12, special events and filming activity, and Title 16.22, non-transient lodging properties. The purpose of the compliance section is to educate business owners on how to appropriately comply with, comply with the business licensing regulations where violations exist to help bring businesses into compliance. To meet their goals, the compliance section can issue courtesy notices, correction notices, and violation notices. Reinspection fees and/or civil fines can be assessed in conjunction with these notifications. In addition, if compliance is not achieved, a criminal citation may be issued. The compliance section is comprised of a compliance section manager, which is currently vacant, 2 senior license officers, and 7 license officers. Each license officer is assigned to oversee inspections in a specific area of the city. The license officers work Monday through Thursday, either starting at 6:30 or 7, and working until 5 or 5:30. In addition, the compliance section conducts evening inspections focused on specific business types once a month in conjunction with other city departments, divisions, primarily public safety and/or local government agencies such as the Southern Nevada Health District and the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. Licensed officers conduct inspections originating from various sources as shown on this slide. Licensed officers are assigned city vehicles, laptops, tablets, and phones to complete their work. They utilize a software known as Infor for documenting their work. During calendar year 2024, the compliance section completed 4,552 field inspections. Our audit objectives were as follows. 1, evaluate the adequacy of the performance measurements and metrics being tracked by the compliance section, as well as the performance reports available to city management and council members. 2, determine whether fees and fines are being assessed in accordance with the municipal code. Determine whether uncollected amounts are being forwarded to the collection agency in accordance with policy. Review and evaluate the cause of operational inefficiency identified by license officers related to fire prevention inspections of fourplex license applications. Determine whether in-force system permissions for compliance section staff are appropriate for their positions, and that access to in-force being appropriately changed when staff change positions within the department, transfer to another department, or terminate employment with the city. And evaluate the adequacy of the work shifts of the license officers to fulfill their responsibilities. We reviewed the adequacy of performance metrics being tracked by the compliance section and noted that while they do track their activity, we noted that there are opportunities for additional and more readily accessible data on performance. To address this, we recommend that management evaluate what performance metrics, in addition to those already being tracked, would be most useful for department management, city management, and council members. Working with IT, make compliance section performance metrics more readily accessible online and/or through regularly produced reports. And finally, evaluate what data could be shared on the city's transparency website. Number 2, our fieldwork identified that fees and fines are being correctly assessed in accordance with the municipal code. However, unpaid fines are not being sent to the collection agency in accordance with policy, and that compliance section's documented procedures do not adequately address when fees should be sent to the collection agency and the process for submitting fees and fines to the collection agency. To address this issue, we recommend that management should improve their documented procedures regarding the compliance fines and fees collection process, including addressing those points identified in this finding. And finally, implementation of these improved procedures. Implement these improved procedures and determine what existing fines and fees should be assigned to the collection agency. Number 3, while discussing the ongoing project of licensing fourplex apartments, license officers expressed concern with fourplex business license applications having to restart the application process after fire prevention officers fail an inspection due to not being able to make contact with the applicant. To address this, we recommend that management should work with fire prevention management in improving the communication and coordination with compliance section staff in scheduling fire inspections of fourplex apartments. Update the fourplex apartment license handout to include additional information to applicants on the need to have a fire inspection and that process. 4, in our testing of enforced system permissions, we identified that a license officer who had separated from employment with the city still had access. In addition, we had identified another license officer who had transferred out of the compliance section but retained their same enforced system access permissions. System permissions for the other compliance staff were found to be appropriate for their positions. To address these issues, we recommend that management document and implement a process for notifying the enforced system administrator when the employee's job responsibilities change, requiring a change in their enforced system access permissions, and document and implement a process for confirming that enforced system access permissions have been changed by the enforced system administrator immediately following an employee's separation, transfer, or job responsibility change. And finally, the licensed officers currently work one standard shift, Monday through Thursday, and participate in monthly weekend evening inspections, also referred to as a sweep. Certain businesses whose operations are primarily in the evenings and on the weekends may not get sufficient attention by the compliance section. To address this issue, we recommend that management implement a process for routinely reviewing the performance metrics of the compliance section and evaluate whether any of the following arrangements would be beneficial for the operations. Additional or staggering inspection shifts that would cover evenings and or weekends, and or additional weekend inspection sweeps. We appreciate the support we received from Community Development Management and staff in completing this audit. I'd now be glad to answer any questions you may have. Representatives from Community Development Management are also in attendance.
Thank you, Mr. Burnett. I appreciate it. Are there any questions from any members?
So the unpaid fines and penalties that weren't being sent to the collection, even though it was in the policy, how long had that been going on and how much money are we talking about?
Hi, Darcy Edelby, Hurd Business Licensing Manager. I don't have a total number of the amount, but for the last, I would say since about COVID 2020, the fines and fees haven't been going to collections because if the process is ongoing. We can only send a collection file one time, and if we're adding more fines, we can't add on to it. So we're trying to manipulate the system so that we can send it, and if more fines and fees happen, we can add on to that. But we haven't gotten there yet with IT.
That's being corrected.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And I have one more question, if you'll indulge me. So, all of these corrective actions related to accessibility and performance data you're saying will be complete by October of 2025?
Yes, Councilwoman Seth Floyd, Director of Community Development, for the record. Yes, part of that is a technology. In fact, several of these are technology solutions, which we are working on with IT, and we do expect those to be done by the end of October.
Thank you.
Again, if I could just add that we have designs ready for them, it would just be hinging on their availability to get them accomplished. But by October, we'll have everything written out, what we need.
Question?
Yeah. The 4,552 field inspections that were completed in 2024, I mean, I don't have a, basis of comparison. Is that a great number, a good number? Because what is the overall number of inspections that you think would be a great number? That's kind of question number one. And then question two would be, do you think the department's adequately staffed to conduct what you think would be a great number, or is it just a matter of rejiggering schedules and shifts and having people work different hours?
Yeah, so Seth Floyd, Director of Community Development, for the record. I'll answer part of that, and then I'll let Darcy answer the other part. As far as whether that is a good number, so license compliant, obviously the goal with an enforcement team, and we have two in my department, code enforcement is one, license compliance is the other. The goal is to achieve compliance, and we can do that in a number of ways. Education is a big component of what the license compliance team does. So often when they receive a complaint, step one is they go to the business owner and say, hey, here's an issue where you are out of compliance with our code, bring it into compliance, I'll be back to inspect. I would say most of our cases get resolved through education. So the volume kind of depends on, one, the number of complaints, and two, how successful we are with those education efforts. It also has to do with city priority. We have always been a very business-friendly city, and so we always try to achieve that compliance without actually issuing a notice. And so I think that number is about right. We do a lot with a small team. There are 7 licensed officers right now. They do an incredible amount of work, but I would say that staffing is adequate for where we are with city priorities now. One of the findings, I believe it was the last one, focused on adjusting shifts, because we're a 24-hour city, so we do have a lot of businesses that operate mostly after our normal business hours. At least twice since Darcy and I have been in leadership roles over the last 4 years, we have explored options for how we might get coverage for those times, and have always landed on the sweeps being a pretty effective way to do it. But as the findings suggest, we will continue to evaluate that at regular intervals to see if that changes.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I have just a couple, one question and a comment. One thing that helps me, as far as on the audit reports at least, is to get more context on things. A lot of times we'll see a number separately, 4,200, and or 11,000 in fees that weren't submitted to collections, and those numbers by themselves don't give me enough context to understand, is that big or small in this grand scheme of things. One thing that looks small is the size of your staff. I mean, I can, just from looking at that, you think, how many business licenses do we issue? It must be just a huge amount. And to have 7 and 2, 9 total reviewing all that, it's very impressive what you can do with such a small staff. And so sometimes getting that context helps to really understand, wow, maybe we have so much in fees that were not sent to collections immediately, but when you put it in that bigger number, you realize it's maybe immaterial compared to the grand total. So maybe in the future audit reports, or we can get some sort of context into this many out of, and that helps us put it into a better perspective, and to one, not make mountains out of molehills, and vice versa with additional context. So that would be helpful. And then on the performance metrics that you mentioned, that's a tough one, I would imagine, trying to figure out exactly what to measure and how to measure it and get that buy-off from everyone on what that is. So that's just a process that's currently in place, and you're going to look to refine that with input from the city managers and everyone who's involved. I guess maybe the status of that, like when do you hope to kind of have some metrics that, that people can measure it on?
Yeah, Seth Floyd, for the record, I'll let Darcy address specifically what those metrics are and what that process looks like. I will say that you hit the nail on the head. They do change from time to time as city priorities change. So I've been in this role for about 4 years. When I first started, we were just coming out of COVID. We were really focused on getting businesses back on their feet and operating again. We were very, I don't want to say soft on enforcement, but we were not prioritizing enforcement at that time because a lot of businesses had either closed or were temporarily closed. And so we were just trying to help them get back on their feet. We have, now that we are several years out of COVID, the city has a very clear public safety focus. License compliance is a key component of that. And so those priorities are changing. We are focusing more on that outreach. It is important for us to always be evaluating our metrics because those will change over time as city priority change. But I'll let Darcy address the timing of when we will have our updated set of metrics done.
Hello, Darcy again, licensing manager. So we have responded back to this audit saying that we would have this compiled by May of next year. One of the things that we've changed in our division is we have two types of licensing. We have privilege licensing and we have general licenses. And to your question, we issue about 36,000 licenses across the city. So we have started earlier this year doing an entire sweep of all of our privilege license categories, in addition to all of the complaints and the unlicensed businesses that we do. So we are hoping that going through every single one of our privilege licenses, which are the ones that are scrutinized higher, that they go before City Council for the most part to be approved. This will be like alcohol, cannabis, smoke shops, those types of things, massage. We're going through a sweep of every single one of those businesses and doing an educational reminder of, hey, don't forget this is what the code requires you to do, and do like a compliance check as we're going there. With that data, we're hoping that by next year we can look at that on top of all of the other things that we do in the division and make better ideas of how to quantify and qualify our metrics. So the timeline has been pushed. It's the longest one, has been pushed until next year, so we can have a good amount of data to look at and review.
If no one, I would just like to add one more quick comment in that I appreciate, and I think the perspective of the role is to educate and to create new business opportunities. Compliance, obviously incredibly important, but your whole focus isn't trying to punish people, but to encourage them to get licensed and to grow the business and to grow the economy here in the city of Las Vegas. So, I mean, I think that focus is the most important focus, is to grow new business and not penalize people. That's not how we're going to make revenues. So thank you very much. Again, appreciate you being here to address them. It's very much appreciated. Thank you. So if there's no other questions from the members, may I have a motion?
Motion to accept the report.
There is a motion. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion's back. Please post. The motion carries. And let's move on to item number 7. Agenda item number 7, report by staff regarding current audits. Brian Smith, City Auditor, will give this report. Please go ahead, Mr. Smith.
Good morning, committee members. I'd like to give you an update on our current audits. As you see on the slide, we're currently involved in an audit of human resources, looking at the employee separation process. We're also doing an audit within IT on mobile devices, and that includes tablets, cell phones, et cetera. We also recently started an audit within the municipal court. This is going to be a brief audit, but they have a cash collection or a payment processing point where they issue a subpoena witness fees to witnesses that come for cases at the court. And so we're just looking briefly at the controls surrounding the change fund that they have. It's one of the largest change funds of the city of $4,900. Just looking to make sure that the controls are in place surrounding those funds. We're also involved in verifying the completion of of audit recommendations that have been previously issued. As you can see on the slide, the departments that we're currently involved in with our follow-up process. And that concludes my report. Oh, actually, excuse me, if I could just go on, I forgot about this second section. I just wanted to remind the committee that there are a couple opportunities during our audit that you, as well as the council members, have to provide input on our audits. At the beginning of every audit, after meeting with department management, we send out what is known as our audit notification email. And we're just asking if you have any information that could be beneficial to us with that specific audit, to please provide that information. And we invite to sit down with individuals and receive that input. And as committee members, we encourage you, if you have ideas, if you have suggestions on scope of an audit, objectives, we welcome your input. And then, of course, as you're aware, as we get prior to the release of any audit report, we send the draft report out to council members, audit committee. Of course, we have personal briefings with the city manager's office, with department directors, the department director and management. And so once again, that's another opportunity. As you read our draft reports, we welcome any input that you have, any questions you may have about how we've characterized something in the report, or if you think something could be further clarified. So once again, I encourage your input and thank you for your support of this process. And that concludes my report.
Well, thank you, Mr. Smith. Are there any questions from the members? Seeing none, this item is a report only and no motion is required. We will move on to item number 8. Agenda item number 8, report by staff regarding the fraud hotline activity. Joe Throneberry, Senior Forensic Auditor, will give this report. Please go ahead, Mr. Throneberry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning. Again, Joe Throneberry, Senior Forensic Auditor. As shared previously with the Audit Committee, the city's fraud hotline went live on September 23rd, 2024. It's accessible via phone, mobile device, online, both internally and externally on a 24/7 basis, allowing individuals to submit reports in English, Spanish, and Tagalog. Speak Up posters advertising the fraud hotline were distributed to all departments for posting alongside other mandatory HR information. Additionally, the hotline has been highlighted in weekly Wednesday email updates sent to city employees, as well as shared via email with department directors, administrative assistants, and disseminated within their respective departments. The Fraud Committee, comprised of the city manager, city attorney, and city auditor, continues to meet monthly to review hotline activity and is currently updating the city's fraud policy and procedures to align with current best practices. Since launching the hotline, we have received 29 reports. Action is taken on all complaints, either by initiating an investigation, making a referral to human resources and/or public safety, or providing education and information to the reporting party as to the most appropriate resource available to them to address their concern. An example is identity theft, fraud activity, that's referred to the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, encouraging the reporting party to reach out and make the police report concerning the fraud, theft or fraud they may be experiencing. Our office will continue to partner with the city manager to further promote the hotline awareness among employees, where appropriate, participate in fraud investigations to see that any citywide or departmental systemic internal control issues are addressed, in addition to resolving the investigation itself. This concludes my report, and I'll be glad to answer any questions from the committee.
Thank you, Mr. Throneberry. Are there any questions from the members? Just one brief one. Are there any outstanding items that are still outstanding? Or-
In terms of the investigations themselves, there are investigations that are in process and in being reviewed to determine the most appropriate action. So there are things that are being worked between the city attorney, the city auditor's office, and with city management.
Okay. And at what point would we either see just closed out claims or closed out just to see that things are properly being taken off that list as they are resolved?
There is, it is the intent of the city auditor's office to publish an annual report. So we're still working in collaboration with the city attorney as to what information would be shared publicly that would not compromise an investigation. But it is forecasted that we will summarize the data at high level in an annual report, as well as keep the fraud hotline topic as a standing item on the agenda for each audit committee going forward, and sharing as much as possible with the committee.
Great, thank you. The item is a report only and no motion is required. We will now move on to item number 9. Agenda item number 9, discussion for possible action regarding the annual audit plan for fiscal year 2026. Brian Smith, City Auditor, will present the annual audit plan. Please go ahead, Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Chair Price. Brian Smith, City Auditor. Just one comment in relation to the previous item. We're still working through exactly what that annual fraud report would look like, still evaluating whether that will be a published report or a verbal report to the committee. But we will be we'll be evaluating that, and we'll let you know how we're going to proceed with that. We just want to be careful about the type of information that we're releasing. So as you look on this slide here, in our office, we follow the standards that are known as the GAO's Generally Accepted Government Auditing Standards. That's also referred to as GAGAS or the Yellow Book. And so those are the standards that we follow in our office. And the type of audits that we complete are known as performance audits. And on this slide, you see the definition from the standards of what a performance audit is. And I'll let you take a quick look through there, but a performance can involve improving program performance and operations, reducing costs, facilitating decision-making, contributing to public accountability. Also, the nature of the audit objectives, of course, can vary significantly. Some typical audit objectives would be assessments of a program's effectiveness, economy and efficiency, internal control, compliance, prospective analyses, and the current status or condition of a program. Now, sometimes you may hear auditors talk about compliance audits, or control audits, or operational audits. Well, those all fall under the umbrella of performance audits, as you can see here with the different type of objectives. So everything we do in our office are performance audits. And if we go to the next slide, the city's audit policy, which outlines the authority and roles and responsibilities of our office, requires the city auditor to annually present to the audit committee an audit plan for the coming year. And this plan has traditionally been based on the fiscal year and previously included a goal of auditing multiple departments and offices over a 5-year period. In an effort to increase the effectiveness of our office and provide more value to the city, and considering the small size of our office right now, it's me, 4 auditors, and our senior management analyst, Bonnie. I'd like to take a different approach in our audit plan this year. Now, while this approach is a work in progress, and I will continue to refine it, moving forward, I'd like to increase the focus of our selection of audits on areas of higher risk. There are many different types of risk factors that need to be considered in evaluating areas to audit. And even when you go into a department to audit, you once again have to evaluate risk within that department or that function. And so you'll see on the slide here examples of all the various, this list isn't complete, but examples of different risk factors that can be considered in identifying areas to audit. I'd like to focus on areas of higher risk of fraud or where control failures have taken place in the past. I'd like to request input from the mayor and council on areas that they believe we could provide some value in auditing. We could request input from all of you, and I have reached out to all of you requesting your input on areas that you think might be valuable for us to audit. I'd also like to request input from department directors, and I have done that and gotten some feedback. Also, it's important to obtain input from all of the auditors within our office based on their previous work experience, audit experience, and their professional judgment. And so in developing the plan for fiscal year 2026, I've started to develop this approach in the 3 months that I've been the city auditor, and I have requested, as I mentioned, input from the mayor and city council members, from audit committee members, from the city manager's office, from some department directors, and also as an office, we've gathered and evaluated what departments, what functions could benefit from future audits. So, in evaluating the information gathered and how best to utilize the experience and expertise of my colleagues, I submit to you our audit plan for fiscal year 2026 for your review and approval. During the planning phase of each of the audits, we'll need to identify more specifically the areas to be audited, as well as the scope and objectives of the audits. So as you look at this list, we intend to do audits within IT, and as you can imagine, IT is an area of very high risk. We're already involved in the audit of mobile communication devices. In addition to that, this year, I would like to look at the information security program of the city, as well as the controls over software. In financing, we'd like to do an audit within purchasing. In human resources, we currently have an audit of the employee separation process that is ongoing. We'd also like to do an audit within the municipal court and within public works. And once again, as we begin these audits, we'll want to further refine what division, what area within these departments we will want to audit. And anytime we do an audit, I think it's really important that we reach out to the directors of these departments and get their input. They know their operations better than any of us. They know where the risk lies within their operations. And so I look, and we've obviously done this in the past, but I look forward to doing that in more detail with directors, asking them, you know, where are the risks within your office? Where can we as auditors provide some value to your operations? In addition to the audit of departments, we plan on continuing to do unannounced visits to payment collection points to make sure that the controls surrounding payments, cash, payment collections are in place. And as I previously mentioned, we're involved with an audit of the witness fee payment controls within the municipal court. In addition to all these audits, of course, periodically we get special requests to respond to questions of city council, and special audit requests. And also, as Joe mentioned, we're involved in fraud investigations. And also, anytime there is a fraud and there's an investigation that's taken place, typically there's been some kind of control failure. So in our office, anytime there is an investigation that's been completed, we'll go in after the fact and question, was there a control that failed that allowed this fraud to take place? And so we'll evaluate the controls and we'll provide recommendations to management on how to improve those controls. And finally, We continually have our audit recommendation follow-up program where we're verifying that the audit recommendations that we've issued are being addressed by city management. And that concludes my report. I'd be glad to answer any questions you may have about the audit plan.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Are there any questions from the members?
I don't know if this is a question, but it's more of just sharing my appreciation. I think coming from the risk world, you know, it's, as we usually know, risk is unseen. And, you know, what your office focuses on is the prevention of risk and the triaging of that as well. And I think, you know, implementing and the integration of some software systems, it's, you know, it's the modernization, it's the streamlining of, you know, where you're holding these departments accountable. And it's not just, you know, trying to heal these processes, but it's really just carrying us on into the future and modernizing these processes. And just, it's very appreciative of, you know, sitting here and listening to you guys and how much work that you do. So it's just more appreciation. Thanks.
And I would actually echo every one of those comments. You have a small but mighty team, and you do amazing work. And I think that this is a phenomenal plan for 2026, and you're touching all the pain points. And I think that this is going to be very, very well received by the departments you will be speaking with, and obviously very received by the committee as well.
Thank you.
One follow-up on the special audit and projects as requested. Those things kind of come up without any basis, and so how do you allocate that in the plan? Do you try to leave certain number of hours available knowing that they're going to come up, or do you have any sort of sense of, like, in the past, here's what our plan's been, but then we had this many specials, you know, audits pop up? It's hard to predict. How do you account for that in the plan when you don't know, you know, what special little things people are going to want to look into?
Thank you, Chair Price. Yes, it is a little hard to plan for those because they can sometimes come out of the blue. And of course, with having recently implemented the fraud hotline, there are things coming out of that, you know, are difficult to plan for also. But we need to have some cushion in our plan to be able to allow for those fraud investigations, for special projects that may arise. Like I mentioned, in developing this plan, I want to further refine it moving forward. You'll see among audit shops various methods for selecting their audits. Sometimes they can be very complex matrices where there'll be a ranking of individual divisions or individual functions within a department. It can be a very significant process in gathering information to feed into evaluating risk. That's something that I want to further develop. It does take time. It takes gathering information. But that's something that we as an office need. In the past, our approach has been, let's audit something in every department over a 5-year period without fully evaluating the risk. And like I've already mentioned, we're such a small group, we need to hone in on those areas where we can provide the most value to the city.
Yeah, you bring it up, and we've commented on it already, is you have a very small staff for the size of the budget of the city, as well as you now as the chief auditor and the audit manager position still not being filled, or where it's at with your small team. You do so much. You know, that's why I question the ability to get some things done on top of what you already have in the plan. So you guys are very effective at that. And lastly, I think, just real brief, the communication and the participation of all the city departments, seeing you as, and I think they do, as the chief had mentioned, and his business license had also, I think, indicated that they're working in a partnership to fix things before they're a problem. City Attorney's Office, the Internal Audit Office, you know, they're team members that help the departments before something is an issue. They're not just like the business license, we're not looking to catch you doing something wrong. We're looking to help you so that nothing goes wrong. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And with the small teams that you have, you still manage to get that done. And having the departments understand that value. Typically, as an auditor or even as an attorney, people kind of resent the fact that they need you. But the reality is that we're here to help before we're needed. And that working and building that trust with those departments where they're going to say, like, I have a problem, I'm going to call you in to help me resolve it, not try to hide it from you because the auditor's going to catch me doing something wrong. That education process gets everybody on the same page, and it's not an acrimonious relationship, it's a beneficial one, and over the long term, it's just going to save more. And some people that, you know, maybe don't have a familiarity with internal audit or know why they do what they do, they're trying to not get caught when it's not what you're trying to do at all. You're trying to prevent problems before they happen. And you guys do a very good job with that with such a small staff, and I think that communication is why that works. So thank you.
Thank you, Chair Price. One final comment. You know, it is a very unique role that we play, and with the city auditor being independent of the city manager's office, that is an ideal organizationally, that is ideal for the city auditor to have that independence. But it naturally does create a little concern at the department level, specifically because our reports are public information, and so there is some apprehension, and I recognize that apprehension by department directors to want to share too much because of this independent function and the fact that our reports are public. But one thing that I'm trying, and I think I've made some great strides over the last year in working directly with city manager, city attorney, as being a part of the fraud committee. I think we're making some changes. I think we're gaining some trust with department directors. I think they're better understanding our role, and that our audit reports, in my opinion, can only help the departments and further improve their operations. And so that's on me to foster those relationships, to improve those relationships with the department directors and the city manager's office, so that they have confidence in what we do in coming into their departments.
Yeah, I think they do, and I think it shows. Thank you, thank you. If there's no more questions, may I have a motion? Is there a motion?
A motion?
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
On the phone.
This is the Deputy City Clerk, Yvette Lozoya, for the record. May you please clarify your motion, Member Kircher?
Correct, I should clarify that. So motion to approve fiscal year 2026 audit plan?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Or Councilwoman on the phone or no?
Councilwoman Bruni?
All right, well, please post. The motion carries. Thank you, and we will now move on to item number 10. Agenda item number 10, discussion regarding topics for future agenda items. Comments made during this portion of the agenda by individual members shall refer solely to proposals for future agenda items, and any discussion shall be limited to whether or not such proposed items are within the purview of the committee, and or whether such proposed items shall be placed on a future agenda. No discussion regarding the substance of any such proposed topic shall occur, and no action shall be taken. Does anyone have any suggestions regarding future agenda item topics? Seeing none at this time, we'll move on to item number 11. Agenda item 11 is citizens' participation. Public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters within the jurisdiction of the committee. No subject may be acted upon in the committee unless that subject is on the agenda and is scheduled for action. If you wish to be heard, come forward and give your name for the record. The amount of discussion on any single subject, as well as the amount of time any single speaker is allowed, may be limited. Is there anyone wishing to be heard at this time? Seeing none, I'll close the citizens' participation and we'll move on to item number 12. Agenda item 12, adjournment. The next Audit Oversight Committee meeting is scheduled for October 6th, Monday, 2025. And with that, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.